So I was like, do you like him or like him? I'm pretty sure I just saw my English teacher physically wince. Why? Because over 40% of that 15-word sentence was the infamous 4-letter L word, like. Ladies and gentlemen, today you are not just an audience, but a jury. For I am here to prove that my client, the word like, has been a victim of libel, slander, and character assassination by English teachers all around the globe. Welcome to the case of like versus the haters. Now, firstly, I must introduce you to my client. While like is commonly believed to be a word of the modern era, from Cher Howitz and her posse of 90s Valley girls to the masses of phone-addicted Gen Zers, and according to my grandfather, the crux of everything wrong with this generation. Where did like come from? Words don't just appear. As much as I tried, I never got Frindle to catch on the way Nick Allen did, because we don't speak the way we do on a whim. Words have meaning because they have history. Modern slang is no different. All of our brain rot New Age jargon is derived from existing language, the same as everything else. Let's take, the most Gen Z word I can think of, Riz. Riz is derived from the word charisma, and that is why it has the meaning it does. Without its history, without its language, it would not have meaning. So to understand like, we must understand its history, because my client is not just a vapid filler word of the modern generation, but a multi-talented jack of all trades with all sorts of uses, which you won't be able to understand unless we start from the very beginning. Now, for clarity, while I'm walking you through my client's greatest hits album from humanity's history, I will not be focusing much on like's use as a verb to suggest affinity or enjoyment of something. There's not much need to defend it because in the public consciousness, it's widely accepted. We all already like it. Instead, firstly, I will touch upon like's life as a suffix before moving on to its career as a preposition, and lastly, its current stint as every self-proclaimed grammar guru's #1 worst enemy. Like is derived from the Proto-Germanic Gaelica, which is roughly translated to with the body of. This Gaelica then turned into Gaelic, which turned into lick, and eventually wound up as my very dear old like. This like, used as a form of comparison to say that something is similar to something else, is commonly used by most modern English speakers. Yes, even you self-proclaimed like haters. In fact, I just used it in that very sentence. Commonly. The suffix ly can be traced back to the exact same root of Gaelica. So when I get told I'm speaking too quickly, I'm speaking in too quick of a manner. I'm speaking too quick like. The fact, like when used as a preposition, can serve the same purpose, to suggest similarity or approximate sameness. Right before I went on stage, I was freaking out to Clara because there were like 100 people here. Now, I haven't counted heads, I'll admit that. There might be 98 or even 101. But the like at the start of that sentence covers any form of minuscule error. It lets the listener know that the speaker might not be exactly sure, however, it's somewhere in the general ballpark. This form of the word like has been replacing the word about in modern culture since about 1970 and serving the exact same purpose. Like is also used as a preposition when paraphrasing to indicate that something is not verbatim. Let's go back to my quote at the start. So I was like, now this might not be an exact quote. Maybe there's some unsavory language I have to leave out because I know my grandma's gonna watch the video. The so I was like at the beginning there lets the listener know that it may not be verbatim, but it's just translating the general essence of what has been said. Like is also commonly used as a form of emphasis, often paired with a so or a totally, but occasionally as a standalone word. Now, let's go back to my sentence from earlier. Break it down and remove all the likes, because like's just a pointless filler word with no meaning, right? So it should be easy. So I was like, as previously mentioned, this first like informs the listener that what is to follow will not be verbatim. We can best replace it with, so I said something similar too. Do you like? Now, this second like is suggesting a hypothetical scenario. And we can swap it out with do you, for example. Like him and dislike's pretty simple, and it's just to mean to have an affinity or enjoyment for something. And we can pretty easily just replace it with have a crush on him. Or like him. And so this is where it gets complicated. So the first like of the triad suggests a different hypothetical scenario, while the second and third work together in tandem to create contrast from the previously established like him and emphasize the seriousness of this infatuation. The best, albeit rough, translation would be, or instead have a more serious crush on him. And now we have two options. So I was like, do you like him or like him? And so I said something similar to, do you, for example, have a crush on him or instead have a more serious crush on him? Yeah, which one of those is even understandable as English? The fact that like cannot be removed from a sentence without affecting the clarity of it proves that the claims that like is nothing but a filler word are completely baseless. But for a moment, let's address these allegations. Why is like, a word with roots in the 12th century, synonymous with modern vapid teens? What or who gave like the reputation it has now? I'd like to call the prosecution's witness to the stand my sworn nemesis, Frank Zappa. Like, oh my God, like totally. Encino is like so bitchin'. There's like the Galleria and like all these like really great. On June 1st, 1982, Frank Zappa released the song Valley Girl, co-written with his daughter, Moon Unit Zappa, mocking how he heard many of the girls her age talking. Okay, teenagers are annoying. I'll give him that, but I'm sorry. You cannot convince me that the 13-year-old girl of 1982 was any worse than the 13-year-old boy. Certainly not enough to warrant an entire diss track. And it's not that Zappa just mocks the typical Valley Girl accent. Zappa mocks the Valley Girl herself, writing that she just bought some bitchin' clothes, tosses her head and flips her hair. She's got like nothing there. And it begs the question, why does Frank Zappa have such a problem with teenage girls and how they talk? Because like other filler words and uptalk are consistently associated with teenage girls, right? And they're also consistently associated with stupidity. We mock the way that teenage girls talk, and in turn, we diminish what they have to say. And why do teenage girls even use so many filler words in the first place? Is it because we're just like so vapid? And as Zappa suggests, we have a whole bunch of nothing in our heads but like shopping and like pink? Or is it because, as found in a study by George Washington University, men interrupt women 33% more of the time than they interrupt other men? WikiHow suggests that if you want to stop saying like, you should become comfortable with silences, suggesting, I hope we all agree, a laughable claim that like is just a word used to fill up some dead air. But even if like is a word spoken solely in lieu of silence, which it's not, we know that women are on average interrupted more than men. Does it then not make sense that they'd on average use more filler words? Every time you pause is an opportunity for someone to cut you off. Then every filler word is an attempt to make sure no one can speak over you. I'm not listened to because I use too many filler words, so I'll stop. And then I'm constantly interrupted to, so I'm not listened to anyway. And it seems no matter how I change, how I speak, I can't speak in a way that makes people listen to me. I talk a lot, something that is made clear by every candid photo of me that has ever been taken. But I'll talk about anything to friends, family, the stranger on the bus who made the mistake of sitting next to me. I'm even one of those freaks who actually enjoys conversation about the weather. Like, it was really cold this morning, right? But there are times where I want to talk about more serious things too. I mean, clearly I'm a serious speaker. But at debate tournaments or Girl Scout conventions, things where I have things I want to say, things that are important to me. In these spaces, time and time again, I'm confronted by the idea that to sound more credible or intelligent, I have to speak with a lower voice, slow down, and of course, never use the dreaded L word. To be taken more seriously, I need to sound less like a girl. And I'm not told this by some maniacal, evil representation of the patriarchy, just trying to tear my dear like for me out of pure malice. These are women who I look up to, who have learned that lesson the hard way. You can present as a leader, or you can present as a woman, but you have to choose. Women, I've learned this lesson time and time again. Even the 10 steps to stop saying the word like on WikiHow shows you how you can stop to sound smarter or more intelligent in 10 steps that are all accompanied by a picture of a woman, the people who clearly need the help. So, is this it? Is my crusade on the front lines for like just a fruitless fight? Should I resign myself to a life without the dear word? Is it the price I have to pay to be taken seriously? No, because I'm not wrong. I'm just early. A study of letters from 1417 to 1681 by the University of Helsinki tracked many of the cultural language shifts of the era. Cultural language shifts you cannot imagine your life without today. Mine eyes to my eyes, doth to do, haveth to have, maketh to make. Who said do in the last day? Who said doth? And what they found is that consistently, these linguistic changes, which have become universal, were started by teenage girls. In fact, as of today, women lead 90% of linguistic change. So like isn't just a trend. It is the future of contemporary vernacular. And according to linguist Alexander Darcy, the most vigorous, widespread change in the history of human language. Whether you like it or not, like's here to stay. So, esteemed jurors, we are at a fork in the road. You can fall for the prosecution's smear campaign, pitch your feet in the mud, and refuse to accept the inevitable. A word with irreplaceable word in our modern prose with purpose and meaning. You can side with the haters, or you can side with the defense, a word with 800 years of history, integral to the very structure of our language, and you can side with teenage girls, the pioneers of language since at least 1417. I don't know about you, but I know which option I like better. Thank you.